But if you can take their questions and frame the learning around their questions, then they actually believe they should be learners all of their lives, as opposed to putting boxes on things and check marks next to things and grades next to things. And then we're surprised the kids are all stressed out and worried about their grades.
Welcome back to Brew Talks. I'm Steve Stroud. I'm president and CEO of Roswell Inc. We're the economic development organization in the city of Roswell.
And I'm Ashley Allen, Director of Operations for Roswell Inc. And today we have with us Lisa Baker, Head of School for High Meadow.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thrilled to be here.
This is exciting.
It is really exciting.
So we met how many years ago? 3? You've been on it 4?
Five.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I started at High Meadows 5 years ago, and you were one of the very first people that I met in Roswell. It was a wonderful connection.
Well, thank you. It has been a
one I
wonderful
value
relationship.
very much.
And we're building.
We are,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Tell us a little bit about High Meadows, because, one of the things, I grew up here. I've heard about High Meadows for a long, long time.
Right.
But we just talked about it being the best kept secret in Roswell that now needs to not be a secret.
That's right. We need to not make it be a secret. So I think a lot of folks know about us because of our camp.
Yes.
And so we started 50 years ago. We're now in our 51st year.
Congratulations.
Isn't that
That is
great?
awesome.
Yeah, so we celebrated 50 last year. I like to say we are 50 and 1.
50 and 1.
Because I think it's really important for us to think about our history and
Yeah.
be really solidly grounded
Yeah.
in that history and in that tradition.
You're at the start of that next 50.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. So what is it like to be one? So what is it like to be at the start of something?
That's
is
cool.
the next question.
Yeah.
So we started first as a camp. And so we had our 4 founders came, and they were coming from Chattahoochee Camp and School, which is the same property the Chattahoochee Nature Center now functions from.
Interesting. Yes. Yeah, that's right.
And Jody Holden brought the school part, and the boys, Michael and Bill and Jay, brought really the camp part, and we started as a camp. And then we ran a school, and we started just with pre-K and kindergarten, and then developed and grew into a middle school in the 90s. So we're pre-K through 8. We've always been about following children. We have always been a school that honors childhood as this distinct age and stage that needs to be honored and cared for in a really different way. And so what that means is that the kind of relationship that our teachers have with kids, that kids have with each other, is one where we treat them as people. Right. So instead of it being, we're here, every school's always going to be trying to teach very similar things,
Sure.
right? It's a question of how, it's the question of the approach that we take and why that exists. So, we're 343 kids right now.
Wow.
We've been filling our pre-K. So when I started, we only had 2 pre-K classrooms. Now we have 4 pre-K classrooms. We've added to we teach in multi-age classes. So yeah, I know. Steve is learning a lot of things.
Wow,
Steve is like genuinely surprised by some of this. But
Wow, that's cool.
yeah.
Though.
So pre-K is combined, so 3 and 4-year-olds. Then kindergarten is separate and first grade is separate because we really think developmentally.
A lot happens
There's a
those
lot.
years, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. But then 2nd and 3rd grade is together, and 4th and 5th grade is together, and 6th and 7th grade is together, and then 8th grade is solo. So we sort of
Kinda
start.
graduate.
They're about to leave the nest, right?
That's
You've really
right.
got to prepare
Get
them
'em
for
ready.
high school.
We do. And the program shifts a little bit in 8th grade. They do more with grades. They have grades. So pre-K through 7th grade, we write lots of feedback. We give them lots of narratives. They get a ton of assessment, but we're not giving them a formal grade.
Gotcha.
Because
I like that.
right.
I mean, if what you want is for children to learn,
Right.
You want them to learn.
you want them to learn. And when you look at how you learn as an adult, you don't learn as an adult because someone sat you down to teach you something.
Right.
You learn as an adult because you have a question, or you have a need. You have to discover something.
right.
So if you can take a school and run a school with that, knowing, of course, that there are things that kids need to learn and skills that they need to develop over time, but if you can take their questions and frame the learning around their questions, then they actually believe they should be learners all of their lives, as opposed to putting boxes on things and check marks next to things and grades next to things. And then we're surprised the kids are all stressed out and worried about their grades.
Right.
Well, we've built that.
Yeah, we built
Yeah.
that structure.
We
yeah.
built that. We do it over and over and over again. So yeah, High Meadows is a wonderful place for children to learn and grow and develop and think and be. What we say is that we have our students are adventurous learners.
Creativity.
Yep, and that they really follow their own questions. And what we're hoping for is that they will solve those problems with sustainable solutions in collaboration with other people. So, and sustainable solution is defined as having a sustainable solution needs to be good for the environment, which is what most people think of when they think of sustainability.
Right.
But they also have to be good for people, so they have to be equitable solutions, and they have to be good economically. So frequently people think that you can only have one of those three things. Our students are challenged every day from the time they're 3 years old to the time they graduate to find those solutions that balance all three of those things.
That's pretty amazing. So you 350
Yeah.
students right
Yeah.
now. Is that, give or take, is that how many can you grow to?
I think we'd like to be around 365,
Okay.
370. So we're not that far
No.
off. We've got a little bit of room. We've got a little bit of room in our upper grades right now. Our lower grades are full with wait lists. So
Where do you see your students coming from? Where do they live mostly? It's all over, right?
yeah, it's all over. There are obviously, because of the proximity, it's easier if you're living directly in Roswell.
Right.
But we have students from Milton and Alpharetta and Johns Creek and Sandy
So
Springs
the whole
and
North Fulton area.
Yeah, whole North Fulton area.
And
yeah.
I'm sure that even some outside of North Fulton.
Yeah.
Now, what do you see? You've got a beautiful campus. How many acres?
42 acres
42 acres.
That's a
in
gem in Roswell, yeah.
Georgia.
in Roswell, Georgia, with all sorts of open space.
Yeah.
So meadows, we've got hiking trails, we have a creek, we have a pool. So when you come to campus, it feels much more like an open wild space than it does a school.
Right.
Yeah.
So you drive up the driveway and you just breathe differently because there are all
You got a
these.
caboose.
Oh, we do have a caboose.
You got a caboose. Hey, you didn't know that I knew
No,
that.
you
I
got
do.
a
I
caboose.
see.
Yeah, we have a
Steve
caboose.
knows a few things.
No,
Just a
Steve,
few.
Secrets
Steve,
you can share.
Steve didn't realize what he didn't know before. He's got to show me up
Yeah.
now.
That's
on
right.
the
Now I
things
gotta
he
make- I
does
gotta
now.
look
Now
good.
he's got to show him up. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's awesome.
so awesome.
You know, for years we've had lots of friends. We talked about one of them, and I'll
Yeah.
pop her a plug, Lisa Tilt.
Yeah.
But so many people over the years have volunteered to take this school, and it's any school, right?
Yeah.
We're blessed in this community to have some great
Yep.
private schools.
Yeah.
You know, we've got great county schools. You know, our school system here is good, but to add on from an economic development point of view, it really sells the community in North Fulton when you can say, have you looked at all of the options you have?
That's
It's
right.
like one of the biggest things when we talk about quality of
Yeah.
life. School, I think, is more often than not the number one thing that people talk about when
They
they're talking
zero
about
in on
quality of
that.
life for our community.
It's not about neighborhoods. It's not about, you would think it's like where they're going to live. They'll figure that out. But if they've got kids,
They want to be
It's a
where
draw.
good schools can
that's
be.
right.
Yeah.
And you know, ultimately, it makes not only great, you know, citizens, but it makes a great workforce because what we're seeing is a lot of these kids are coming back and they're going to work in the community.
Yeah.
And you know, we've all got challenges, and part of that challenge for us as a community is try to figure out housing, right?
Right.
How do
Yeah.
we?
Yeah.
Yeah, how do we keep Caroline and Camille and others out of my basement, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, we love
Yeah.
for them to come back, but we want them to live independently
Yeah.
and have good jobs
Yeah.
in a safe community. And
Yeah.
all those things start tying together. And I think, these extra pieces, the fellowships, the High Meadows, the Swift schools, the, all the private schools, cottage school, all unique in their position of where they help
Yep.
education.
Yeah.
Where do you guys see as far as, one of the things, the challenges that the county's facing right now, and we're facing it from a workforce, and as we prepare for workforce, is the decline in population, right? What does that look like for you as a private school? I'm just curious.
So we haven't.
I know it's early.
Could we knock on wood somewhere?
Yeah.
Right here.
So
we got it.
when you look at the overall population of students, of children,
Yep.
in a lot of metro areas around the country,
Right.
because of the shrinking population, independent schools and public schools, for that matter, are struggling because of the shrinking population. We haven't seen it that much.
Good.
In terms of that shrinkage. I think the other thing is that when you think about people who are moving into an area
Right.
where they're going to take a job, where their child can go to school, is a critical part of that.
That's right.
High Meadows is a school that holds progressive tenets, and I don't mean that politically. I mean that's educationally progressive. What that means is that our learning is more hands-on, our learning is thematic, our learning has more to do with students constructing knowledge than students just being told exactly what to do. And it's difficult to do. It is a lot more work for teachers. It's much more labor intensive for the teacher because they're trying to follow children and their questions.
Right.
Right? As opposed to just being like, this is the unit and this is how I do it and it's the third day and this is how I have to teach it. And in public schools, unfortunately, teachers are getting far less flexibility than we ever had. So I've been in schools for 35 years now, 17 years in public school, 18 years in independent school. And my 17 years in public school, we had a lot more autonomy when, 30
Yeah.
years ago than we
Yeah.
have now. That autonomy allows you to teach a certain way. Schools like High Meadows that are progressive don't exist everywhere. So we are a really key piece
Yeah.
of the puzzle for places like Roswell, Alpharetta, Sandy Springs to exist because there are people coming from other parts of the country who want that.
They want that.
And there
Yeah.
are obviously people
Oh, yeah.
here who want that,
Sure,
right?
sure.
But they're going to seek that out and they're not going to take the job
Right.
if they don't think they can educate their child in a particular way. So I think that puts us in a different kind of sweet spot. I think the other thing that's so unique about us is just that there's 42 acres. We get to use that.
Yes.
We've got a barnyard with 2 horses, 3 ponies, chickens,
Oh my gosh.
goats. I mean, like yesterday, what are the kind of meetings you expect a head of school to have? How about what sort of lamb should we bring to campus? Because we had 2 sheep, one of them passed away.
Oh.
They're flock animals, so they need other sheep.
Sure, around them.
You can't have Willow be sad. So we need, it's true.
That's
so we
so
were having a
cool.
meeting about like what kind of lambs would come to campus and when and how would we transition them in and all that kind of stuff. So our kids are getting exposure to,
So many
our
things.
middle school kids have mini courses, so they get to sign up for different mini courses, and that's true in most middle schools. But most middle schools are going to have chorus and they're going to have band, and we
Yep.
have an awesome band, but we also have a rock band
Oh,
that got
wow.
started.
Yes, very fun.
We have theater productions that get done in our barn theater.
That's crazy.
We have debate, a really, really like strong debate program. But then we teach courses like avian embryology. So the kids actually take eggs that have been laid by our chickens and they take them through the whole cycle of hatching. And they do something called candling. So they look, right?
Very cool.
Yeah, so you watch the embryo grow and you learn
Oh.
what that looks like,
yeah,
how
you
long
look
it
at
takes.
the egg to see that it's
Right,
fertilized
right.
and watch its growth and all of that.
Yep.
Very
Yep.
cool.
Yeah. And they learn all about the horses and how to care for them. And so they're getting a kind of exposure in terms of learning and how they engage with each other. Also, a kind of peace that you get when you're outdoors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And play. So a lot of times you watch
Just
middle
being able to
school
be
kids.
outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure having that, those kind of different experiences also just give them more capacity for the real like learning of, here are the math skills you need to learn and the language skills and all of that. I think that that's one thing with traditional education is it's gotten so, you're in school for, whatever, 6-7 hours a day and you're at a desk all day long, and recesses have gotten shorter or gone away with, and there's less of that kind of high capacity learning.
Right.
I think is taxing on children's
Well,
minds.
it is, and actually it's not effective.
Right.
I mean, that's the problem is we think it's
We're adding
powerful
more,
because it's
yeah,
hard.
we're adding more stress.
But hard isn't always better,
Yeah, right. No.
right? So there's a combination. So you can have a really rigorous program, and you can do that really rigorous program and have people work really hard and not have them be in some sort of pain around it, right? It doesn't
Yeah,
have to
right,
be.
right. Doesn't have to be
and
painful.
that's that false dichotomy they could set up over and over and over again, and we're just not questioning it enough.
No.
We think about when you're really learning something that you love, you don't look up.
Yeah, no.
You don't look up. You don't go, oh my
You're
gosh, that was so.
engrossed in
Well,
it.
it's just like us in our everyday lives
Yes.
for work, right? If we're doing something we love, it doesn't feel like work. If
That's
children are doing something that they love,
right.
the learning doesn't feel like work.
That's right.
It's
And-
just
Right.
experiencing life.
That's
Just
right.
becoming people.
That's right.
People.
That's right. So you got to treat it that way instead of treating it like the other way. So being outdoors is absolutely a huge part of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's an equally important part of the learning. That's
That's cool.
That's the other thing. It's not just that it's sort of a break from what's real.
Yeah, it's
No, a
it's-
necessary balance.
Yeah, it's a
You're gonna
real
achieve
thing.
A, you
Yep.
have to have B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I go out and walk the street when I'm taking phone calls,
That's
right?
right.
Because I
That's
don't
right.
want to be in an office
That's
all
right.
day long.
That's
right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
and
might
kids
be
should
my
afforded the
ADD, but
same.
that's a whole
That's a whole different
that's a
issue.
different school,
Yeah,
right?
No, it's any school.
I'm just teasing.
Any school, yeah.
So 2025 is here. What's that look like? What's a big big initiative for High Meadows in 2025?
So we are in the process of closing up our fundraising, and we'll have a new building on campus
Whoa.
that
Exciting.
will open in August of 2025.
Oh,
Yeah,
exciting. We need to
so-
do a ribbon cutting.
We do.
Yeah.
We
Absolutely.
definitely
Let's
need
bring
to
people
do.
on the
We
campus.
do. So it's the first classroom building that's been constructed in nearly 30 years.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, it will all, knock on wood, we're just finishing up, we're almost to the end of our fundraising. We're, inching closer to the end, but it looks like we're going to make our target. And it's going to be a really cool spot that's got spots for our environmental sustainability program
Yeah.
for younger kids
Oh,
through
neat.
fifth grade and middle school classrooms. And almost as much deck space as there is classroom space.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Again, bringing them outside.
That's right, indoor,
Yeah.
outdoor, and
there's some
it's
bonus.
built really close to what is currently a detention pond.
Uh-huh.
But we really want to think about how we use that as a wetland teaching space.
Yeah.
So that will sort of be the next step. Is what does that look like? How do we build that out?
That's
and it's
cool.
right across from the barn, so it'll
Neat.
give some cool opportunities.
Tying
and
it all
connections
together.
there. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to hold you to your word. Keep us posted on the construction.
Absolutely.
How it comes down, and we'll get a
Absolutely.
ribbon cutting, get out there,
Yeah.
and get some
Yeah.
a
little
make sure that the
Roswell.
secret is not a
That's
secret
right.
anymore.
We do not need to be the best kept secret.
No, we do not.
We are the most magical place.
Yes,
though.
that's
We
awesome.
are the
Well,
most magical place.
Roswell's a magical place. You obviously moved here, and
Absolutely.
you've seen that.
I have.
And as we always say, it's a great place to do business. It's a great place to live, and people continue to come, and
That's
they don't
right.
want to leave.
That's right.
So
That's right.
thank you for being on our show.
Absolutely. Thank you.
As we say, it's a great day to do business in Roswell.
It is.
Cheers.
It is.
Cheers.
Happy New
Cheers.
Year.
Happy New Year to you too.